Okay, so here we are to learn something new with Gemma. What are we learning today?
So today we're going to have a think about bargee horses. And one of the key components with bargee horses is understanding how horses learn.
Right.
So when we apply pressure to a horse, they should respond to that pressure and they should take either a step forwards or backwards. So your hand might start off in a neutral position, and then if you apply pressure and then release. And you can see Pepsi was a little bit slow to release there, and Pepsi's not too bargee, but certainly with bargee horses, that's what we find. And the better a horse steps backwards, the better they lead forwards, and the less likely they are, to actually be bargee and to run over the top of you, because it's the same muscle groups which are involved for taking a step backwards, which are involved for slowing down. So you can see each time Pepsi takes a step backwards, her hand goes from neutral, I apply the pressure, and then release. And if a horse is a little bit reluctant to step backwards, and some are certainly more reluctant than she is, we can also use the stick. So we can first of all make sure she's not scared of it, then I'm going to put light pressure on, then give her a little bit of a tap, and then release. And again, light pressure, and you can see that time she was much quicker to step back. Light pressure, release. And now she's got much lighter because I used the stick a little bit as well. Again, for horses to lead forwards, I'll keep my feet still, so I'm not giving them any cues from my body language. I'll then ask her to step forwards and release as soon as she starts to walk.
Right, so why don't you just train her to follow you? That seems more obvious to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do that, but one of the problems with that is that's fine when a horse is following you, but then when you go to walk into a trailer or across a drain or into veterinary stocks and the horse doesn't follow you, you've got no way of backing it up. Whereas if you teach the horse to come forwards off of pressure, it becomes a habit. Feel the pressure, I can make the pressure go away by stepping forwards. So it's much more likely to work. And particularly with bargee horses, the horse may stand still, they may lead fine most of the time, but when they do go to barge, they learn to pull through this pressure.
Right.
Whereas if you teach them that every time you apply pressure on the nose, they take a step backwards and you release. If they do go to barge forward, they'll feel the pressure on the nose themselves, and then they'll immediately slow down or stop.
Right, so the neutral letting go is as important as the putting the pressure on, you think?
Yeah, so whenever you lead horses, you really should have your hand in a neutral position. You really don't want to be always just holding them back a bit or always pulling them forward a bit.
Okay, and that's a really important thing for any treatment, vet treatment, just holding your horse in everyday life or for treatment by other professionals.
Absolutely.
And then are we going to have a look at how this applies to trotting up?
Yeah, because once your horse leads nicely like this and you start off with just a step or two, then it makes it much easier to trot the horse up under control. So we've come out to the trot up area. What are the key things? Obviously the trot up's an important part of a veterinary examination.
Yep.
What are the key things, Malcolm, you think for owners to train their horses to trot up?
Yeah, so there are so many veterinary visits where we're going to be trotting a horse up and down that to have practiced this beforehand and make sure it works well is good. The key things, do you want to trot away, is that we're going to trot Pepsi down and at the other end, stop. Don't keep trying to trot round in a circle. Stop, get control, and then trot back again towards us. Trotting in a straight line, not having the horse's head held tightly. She wants to be able to express her head movements so we can see whether she's lame or not.
Yep, and what are the main problems you see horse owners make when it comes to trotting a horse up?
That the horse is unprepared, that they haven't done this before, and so it's new to them. And this is a great thing to be able to practice beforehand. From a safety perspective, you've got to have control of the horse. You certainly don't want the horse getting in front of you, getting away. So some of your techniques that we looked at beforehand definitely apply to this. So what are the take-home messages, Gemma?
So I think we looked at bargee horses and trotting up today. The three things are making sure your horse responds to pressure from the lead rope, and key to that, the second thing is the timing of the release of pressure. And then if you do that, the third thing is you can practice these so that your horse will trot away and back in a straight line and be in control for the vet.
Yeah, for me that makes a really big difference. If I come to see your horse and we want to trot up, to have practiced it, it's much more reassuring for the owner as well. It's not a stressful experience and we get to see what we want.
Yep, I agree.